Well, it's halftime of the first game, and I can say this pretty confidently. This is by far the worst playoff slate of the year. A slate for the absolute fish. And yeah, I mean, all the sharps are super tilted on Twitter. Everyone's in agreement. This is the worst slate of all time. Just dumb. It was literally just like, I saw what happened in the first quarter. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna make my video for tomorrow, right? It's just, if you want to go see the tilts, like I tilted about it. Like it's dumb. It's literally, the Heat rotation tonight made absolutely no sense. The first half, absolutely no sense. What I saw happen tonight, it was so incredibly dumb in the first. It's the first half right now, and I'm already like, this is definitely the worst slate of the season for the playoffs. I have cashed almost every single slate in the playoffs for tournaments. I'm obviously not going to cash tonight, but I have zero regrets with the way that I played. I was very high in the Miami Heat mid-range guys. You picked up 2 quick ones for Bam. Lowry and Strus, I thought, were great plays. Both got benched. Caleb Martin was a really good play. He was a lot of the sharp players played him. He played like 8 first half minutes. I'm like, where are these minutes going to? They dusted off Cody Zeller. Duncan Robinson, for the absolute fish that played him, couldn't miss. Continues to shoot 75% from the field. How do they know? Love and Duncan Robinson, the 2 absolute worst plays of the slate, nuking. It was just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go make my video, right? It's as simple as that. So yes, a slate for the fish, a slate for the slappies, the droolers, whatever you want to call them. They have to win every once in a while, right? I've been taking their money all playoffs. They can have this slate, right? Maybe I'll make some money in the showdown, but I just literally like, I was like, I'm just gonna go make my video. There's no, like, I'm not gonna put, like, if you want, go see the tilts, go check out my Twitter. I tilted about it, retweeted some people that are making me laugh as well. But yeah, let's talk about this 3-game slate. Let's just forget the slate on Monday happened. Again, all the Sharks in agreement. Worst slate of the playoffs so far. And yeah, that's all I got to say about it. So if you missed the tilts, here you go. Here's a good tilt for you. One more time. Duncan, Love. Absolute fish plays, nuke the slate in the first half. The super sharp plays, Strus at low ownership. Lowry and Martin, both randomly benched. Those were the sharp plays in Miami. The fish plays nuked. Dumb slate. Let's talk about tomorrow. So, welcome guys. My name is DK. We'll be talking about the 3-game DFS slate in this video. I'm also making content for Prize Picks, daily sponsor. It's a player prop site. We build 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6 player props and win up to 25 extra money. If you want to try it out, you can use the code DKDFS for 100% match up to $100. I'll also have it linked down below. And premium content is also linked in the description for DFS and for Prize Picks. Okay, so again, Monday slate didn't happen. Grads to the fish. They're going to get punished on this slate. If you played guys like Love and Duncan, you're going to get punished on this slate, all right? We're going to hand out some punishment on this 3-game slate. The Sharks are going to tomorrow. All right, so Atlanta-Boston's the first game here. For Atlanta, there's some blowout risk. We have like a 13-point spread. No DeJounte Murray. So there is definitely some blowout risk. I'm pretty sure they're going to go to Bogdan Bogdanovic into the starting lineup. They're going to need some playmaking and offense, and I don't think they can get away with like starting Sadiq Bey or like Aaron Holiday or someone like that. So I'm pretty sure they're going to go Bogdan. With that being said, if you think Atlanta can keep this game competitive, there's 2 guys that I really like. That would be Trae Young and Bogdan Bogdanovic. Again, Trae Young's been up and down, but this is the type of ceiling that he has. I mean, he went for 70 in an L last game. No more DeJounte Murray. He obviously looks better. Will do more ball handling. Had 15 assists last game. So there's blowout risk, and I think you definitely can fade. But if you told me for sure that Trae Young played like 40 minutes tomorrow, he would be in my lineup. So I really like the ceiling on Trae Young, and I'm pretty sure Bogdan Bogdanovic is going to start. Minutes have ticked down a bit of late, but assuming he starts, should play over 30 minutes, should be the secondary playmaker behind Trae Young. He would look amazing, has the great eligibility. Mid-range options, DeAndre Hunter's 5'4". He's kind of been a little bit up and down. If you just look at the last 4 games, 18, 38, 14, and 43. But he's playing massive minutes right now. And obviously going to look a little bit better without DeJounte Murray. The bigs in Capella and Okongwu, they're going to split the center position. Both are reasonable. $5K for Capella and $4.4K for Okongwu. The rest of the Hawks, I mean, John Collins is a guy I absolute hate rostering. He's been awful so far in the playoffs, but he has shot extremely bad. If you just like an average shooting game from Collins, he could have a good game at this price point, but probably will play a little bit more. just because by default, you're just going to have to get a little more run for these main guys with DeJounte Murray out. I think Saddiq Bey also gets more run. There's a possibility I think he could start, but 4.2K, I think he's going to be a little bit more in play. And then, Jalen Johnson might play a little bit more. I think you'll probably see like AJ Griffin in the rotation would be my guess. He hasn't played at all in the playoffs. Maybe you see like a little bit of Aaron Holiday, but I wouldn't get to those guys unless like one of them start. So, the main guys here for Atlanta, if you think the game can stay competitive, I think do have a pretty high ceiling, especially Trey and especially Bogdanovich. For Boston, well, I think they're super safe. Again, there's a little bit of blowout risk in this game with Boston playing at home, no DeJounte Murray, but Boston's just running a very tight rotation, and it's a great matchup. So I like the whole Celtics. Again, I sound like a broken record all playoffs, but yeah, I mean, I like Tatum at 10K. I like Brown at 8-1. I think both solid plays. Both should play in a competitive game, probably close to 40 minutes. I'm very high in the mid-range for like the 100 straight slate for Boston. White, Smart, Brogdon, Horford, I think all pretty safe. The minutes have slightly ticked down in White, but not super concerned about it. Marcus Smart should see low 30s minutes. White, low 30s minutes. Brogdon probably sees mid to high 20s minutes. I like all of those guys. I think Al Horford's a pretty good play at 5.1. He should play low 30s minutes. Rob Williams got a little bit of a bump last game. They went with a bigger lineup. He played 29 minutes, had a huge game, but I think it was a bit of an outlier. And there's also a possibility that he could play sub 20 minutes if he struggles, and then just give a little bit more run to the guards. So, but yeah, I think the main two plus White, Smart, Rob Williams, Brogdon, Horford, I'm very high on. Not going to get to anyone else. You might see a little bit of Hauser, maybe a minute or two for Grant Williams, but just in general, I think Boston looks great, assuming the game can stay competitive. Minnesota and Denver, well, they got no slow-mo. So Minnesota's going to run a very tight rotation, do or die time, absolute must win. I think Anthony Edwards is one of my favorite spin-ups in the slate. 44, 45 minutes last couple games. He's doing everything for the team right now. He looks good. I think Cat is fine, but he has just been awful, except that one game against the two playing games he was solid. But in this series, he has been awful. He kind of looks scared out there. He is, not good. But he's sub 8K. I think he's still viable. Gobert at sub 7K. Should play all the minutes that he can handle. No more slow-mo. Slow-mo is a guy that could throw on Jokic. So, like, if one of Gobert or Cat get in foul trouble, the other one's probably going to play massive minutes. Mike Conley also played huge minutes, 43 minutes last game, so 38 in regulation. I'm expecting similar run from him. I think he's pretty safe. My boy NAW played huge minutes last game he started. I think he's a pretty safe value play, assuming he starts again. And then I think Taurean Prince gets a lot of slow-mo's minutes. At 4K, I like him for value. I would think we probably see mid to high 20s minutes from Prince. So a good amount to like here from Minnesota, too. They're going to run an extremely tight rotation where you got the starters of Ant, Cat, Gobert, Conley, NAW. I think Prince will play off the bench. I think you'll probably see a little bit of like maybe like Noel or McLaughlin. And I do think you probably see some Austin Rivers. He came in the second half and got some minutes. I think he'll be in the rotation, too. So NAW and Prince, I think, are both good values. If you want to take a dart, Rivers be my guest. If you're confident that Noel plays like low to mid-teens minutes, you can take a shot on him. But he only played 4 minutes last game. So that is Minnesota. Moving on to Denver. So you got Jokic at 10-8, Jamal Murray at 8-2. Once again, I think the more optimal play would be Jamal Murray. He was horrific last game when I finally buy in, but no, not going to overreact there. He's playing, pretty big minutes in competitive games, and he's still at a reasonable price point. Jokic, if you can afford him, looks great. He had a massive game last game. So the top two Denver guys, I like MPJ and Aaron Gordon. I think are also pretty safe plays in the mid-range. I expect mid-30s minutes from both. Gordon has dealt with some foul trouble, but he stayed out of foul trouble last game. I guess he fouled out at the end there, but played 38 minutes. So those two I think are pretty safe. Bruce Brown should play pretty big minutes off the bench, probably mid-20s. I like him for value. And then KCP probably plays mid-30s minutes. If he's knocking down the shots, he can get there. So I think he looks like a solid value. If you want to go to a punt play, you can look to Jeff Green. He'll probably play somewhere in the neighborhood of like 20 minutes, but he's not the best point per minute guy. Finally, the Clippers and the Suns. So for the Clippers, Russell Westbrook, there's some blowout risk here playing on the road in Phoenix. We got a 12.5 point spread. So 13-point spread, 9.5 point spread, 12.5 point spread. All 3 games, there's a possibility it could blow out. So on, in large show tournaments, could you consider a slate like this, like stacking one game up and hoping that game shoots out or the other games blow out? Yeah, I talk about that strategy all the time. So Russell Westbrook, if this game stays competitive, I still think is a bit too cheap at 9-3 just because he's now the clear go-to guy without Kawhi and without Paul George. And then Norman Powell should be the number 2 offensively, 41 and 37 minutes last couple games. I still think he's a solid play. This price point shot 4 of 15 last game. Can't expect that bad of shooting again from him. So I like Westbrook. I like Powell. Eric Gordon's 4-9. Should play low 30s minutes. I think he's a reasonable value. Zubac, the minutes have ticked down a bit of him. Again, they can go small as well, so he's a bit riskier, but still viable in tournaments. I think Terrence Mann's a relatively safe play. 26 and 30 minutes over the last couple games. He's a decent defender and a guy that most likely will be in the closing lineup. Bones Highland, I like the ceiling a bit more on him, but I would say his minutes not as secure. Now, if you told me for sure that Bones Highland played like 25 minutes tomorrow, I would be firing him up, but not as confident in his minutes. And then you saw Marcus Morris start last game. Played 25 minutes to not shoot well, but if he starts again, I think he's fine. Batum barely played last game. You saw Plumlee get some backup 5 run. Again, they can go small, though, too, so there's always risks with guys like Plumlee and Zubac. If you told me for sure that Plumlee played close to 20 minutes, he would probably be in my lineup, too. But again, another guy where like the minutes can fluctuate. If the Clippers are down big, I think they're going to try to go with a small lineup. Like, if the Clippers are down by like 10+, in the second half, like I think they go with like Westbrook, Powell, Gordon, Mann, like Morris or something like that. And then finally, the Phoenix Suns. So they're still just running their main guys insane minutes. Kevin Durant, 9.9K. If you have the salary for him, looks pretty safe. Booker, same thing. I mean, he's played really, really well, doing more ball handling too. Chris Paul is playing huge. Like they're just giving these guys like all like 40 minutes, 40+ for KD and Booker. Paul, again, a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. 3 blocks, 3 steals last game. Don't think we can expect that again, but I think he's pretty safe. DeAndre Ayton, 6'4", he should see low to mid 30s minutes. I like him. So like I like the main 4 Suns guys. So they're just playing huge minutes. I expect low 40s minutes for Durant and Booker, probably high 30s minutes from Paul, and mid 30s minutes from Ayton. The rest of the Suns, Torrey Craig's 4-5. He should kind of split duties right now with Okogie. Okogie is 3-7, put a little bit more last game. Both are okay punt plays. Campaign is going to be available. Now, I don't know how many minutes he can play. Will he for sure be in the rotation? I'm not sure. If he does get the backup point guard run, then he'll probably play whatever Chris Paul does not play. Maybe Chris Paul loses a couple minutes, but I'm still not 100% convinced you see Payne. If you want to like go to a backup 5, again, it could be Biyombo, it could be Landale. I'm probably not going to mess with that. I don't think I'm going to mess with anyone else, too. The positive really of Phoenix is they are just playing their main 4 guys insane minutes right now. So that is going to wrap it up for the breakdown. Oh, I forgot to shout out to, I don't have it up right now, but we had a couple people take down the shutdown slate last slate, and I mentioned how I really liked the 1K punt, basically punting like Austin Rivers, as opposed to like there's questionable value with like Noel and Jeff Green getting a lot of ownership of the shutdown slate. And I was like, all right, I'm okay, like, risking it, possibly taking a 0 with Austin Rivers, but I think that'll give you a unique lineup. And we had 2 people take down because of it, $10,000 and $1,000. So congrats to both of them. Maybe I'll bring it up in the next video when I have it up on Twitter. But just want to shout those 2 out. And yeah, so hopefully this slate goes better than the slate tonight. Like I said, it's only halftime of the first game, but it's just like I knew. I was like, this is just the dumbest slate of all time in the playoffs. I'm just gonna didn't happen. Move on. Hopefully this slate tomorrow is a slate where the fish are punished. And as always, I appreciate you guys for watching. We'll see you all in the next video.